All right. Before I get into talking about the recipes and labs in general, and then I was going to talk about the nutrients and their functions, I want to encourage you to, if you haven't, has anybody done the food handler class and get their certification? I figured I would be a good role model and try to do it myself. So last night I did it. It was it's an hour and a half, but you can pause the sessions because after three it was getting a little long for me, so I took a half-hour break and came back to it because it's about an hour and 40 minutes, I think, is what it probably took me. And then the test was actually, it's 45 questions, and then I didn't get a perfect. I got two wrong. I got, and those were in the temperature. So when you're listening to it and going through the workshop part of the course, make sure you pay attention to different temperatures of what things should be. One was the temperature of water and the temperature, internal temperatures of food. But then when you're done, you can print off your certificate that says you completed it. So I'm going to do, I decided, an incentive. If you do this, and remember it's free till course would be anywhere from $50 to $150, and it's all free right now. And I noticed it is now good for 3 years. So that's really good too if you ever are going to work in any type of food establishment. Then you can tell your boss or the person who interviews you that I've done this ServSafe. So as my incentive, if you do it, take a picture of you or take a picture of your certificate that you completed it and either message it to me through Schoology or send it to me in an email, and I'm going to put everybody's name into a drawing for a $20 food gift card to somewhere. And then I'll just mail it to you unless we get to see you in May. Otherwise, I'll mail whoever I draw out of the participants. So if you want to do that, you can, like I said, resume it anytime you want to. So, you know, if you want to do a few, there's 5 sessions throughout the hour and 40 minutes. So if you want to do a couple and come back to it, you can, which is kind of nice because it does get to be long. Because even I was like, oh my goodness, this section is long. So think about it, and that's my incentive. I'm going to post that as an update in Schoology for everybody to know. It's a very good thing. I can't encourage you enough. I'm trying to get past students I've had to do it as well. I won't give them the incentive like I'm giving you, but just telling them how great an opportunity this is. Questions on that? Okay, then I'm actually going to make this bigger, and that way we can see this a little bit better and don't have to squint your eyes. I'm going to talk about the lab that is scheduled for Friday. It does not mean that you have to do it on Friday. My week is a window, so within a week you should do your labs. It doesn't have to be these recipes, and you only have to do one of the 2 that I've posted. If we were in class, we'd do both of them, but I realize that's harder when you're at home. So the first one is a fruit cooler, which is basically a smoothie in your blender. Oh, I'm sorry, I noticed here in the bottom where it's doing directions, I cut and pasted it this morning and I missed a few, but basically you're putting everything into the mixer at once. And I will tell you that this recipe does fill up your blender almost to the top. So you might want to, depending on the size of your family and who's going to actually drink your smoothie, you might want to cut it in half or cut it down even more. Because again, obviously we're making this for a class. So it's, 5 people in your kitchen probably would be drinking this. So it's 1 1/2 cups of orange juice, 1/4 cup of pineapple juice, and those are liquids, so you'd use your glass measuring cup. Then it's a bag or it's a carton of unsweetened strawberries, and obviously you can get them sweetened as well. If they're unsweetened, then you need to add the 1/2 cup of sugar. And some groups, even when we're in class, don't put all the 1/2 cup of sugar. I think it needs a 1/2 cup, but some people don't like it as sweet, and that's totally up to you. And then we crush ice. We take ice and we take hammers and meat melts and crush it, because those ice cubes are kind of large. Now, some of you might have the ice crusher right on your blender to crush it first before you make your smoothie and put your other ingredients in there. So then you put it all together, place in the blender, and then it's mixing it, and there's a puree button, at least on the ones we have at school. I realize everybody has different blenders at home. So that's the fruit coolers or the fruit smoothies. So you escape here for a second. Does that make sense? Does anybody have questions on the smoothie? Like I said, you can, any ingredients you have at home, maybe you're going to do something with yogurt, some different fruits, that's fine. It helps if I can see you in the picture, that I know that you actually did it and not grandma, mom, brother, that you're the one that is participating. If you can't do one of these, I should mention, there is that culinary arts lab options that I think, thanks to Julia in this class and a couple other people, told me that it wasn't working. And so I think I've shared it now, and I've shared all the connecting documents that are on there. Because some of the options, I'm asking you to fill out a form with it to verify that you've done it. So that's another option too, if you can't do the recipes. So I'm going to go back up and talk about pizza bubble bread, which is basically a cheese pizza. You could obviously add pepperoni, sausage, other toppings to it. When we're in school, again, I just do cheese. So this is a package of refrigerator biscuits. Those are the ones that are in the tubes, where there's 10 little biscuits, and you could use regular biscuits, buttermilk biscuits. There's lots of different varieties. 1/2 cup of pizza sauce. That comes in jars or cans. You could also use tomato sauce and add some spices to it if you didn't have pizza sauce at home. You could add some basil and garlic, oregano to make that same sauce. And then there's a cup of shredded mozzarella cheese. So pretty easy. Preheat your oven to 400 degrees, which is a little hotter. We know anytime you're making pizza, it's always a little hotter oven. Spray your pizza pan, and of course you don't have to use a pizza pan. You could use a cookie sheet as well. It says to separate the biscuits and cut each biscuit into 4 pieces. So those 10 biscuits that are in the container, you take those apart, and then you'd cut them in half and cut them in half again. So you would have 4 little biscuits. So now you've got 40 little biscuit pieces. You put them into a bowl and you toss them with the sauce. So you could toss by just lifting the bowl and tossing them. Obviously, you could grab a spoon and mix them together. So basically, you're coating all your little biscuit pieces. And then it says, arrange the biscuit dough pieces into about an 8-inch circle. And actually, I just turn over my bowl and kind of dump it in the middle of my pizza pan. You don't have to sit and take them one at a time. I know that word arrange kind of sounds like you need to do that, but you can just dump it in the middle of your bowl, in the middle of the pizza pan, or cookie sheet. Sprinkle it with your mozzarella cheese, and like I said, if you're going to add any other toppings, obviously you'd put the toppings on, and then bake in the preheated oven for 12 to 14. It takes 14. Sometimes it might take a minute or 2 longer to make sure you get the middle biscuits done. So sometimes I tell the students to take their fork and kind of move the cheese to the side so you can see if the middle biscuits are done. And of course, if you lift them up, it should be golden brown on the bottom. And then when you take it out, you can use a pizza cutter, a knife, cut it into triangles just like you would pizza. So I'll come back again. Does that make sense? Anybody have questions on that recipe? And I know I read through them quite fast, but those are in the folder. They're connected right with the lab assignment as well. Questions on that? Alrighty, then I wanted to talk about nutrients and their functions. Tomorrow there is a nutrition chart assignment, and there are columns. Some of you have already completed it. There's the first column that says what is the function of the nutrient. Then there's a middle column that says deficiencies, and I've already typed in the ones you need to know, so you'll notice I X'd off the middle column. And then the next column is to name 2 foods that have that nutrient. And then once you've named those 2 foods, where do they go on my plate? So for example, since carbohydrates is at the top and carbohydrates is here on the notes, so the function you would write supplies energy. You'd go across to what are 2 foods, and my example in the assignment was pasta and potatoes. Those would both be carbs. Carbs are your sugar, starches, and fibers. And then you'd go across to the last column. Where does pasta and potato go on my plate? Pasta is a grain, potato is a vegetable. So I'd write grain and vegetables. So sometimes you'll have 2 answers, and sometimes you might only have 1. So if I would have put pasta and rice, I would have just had to write grains. So hopefully that makes sense. Maybe we can do another one at the end too. So that's our first nutrient. Then minerals is the next nutrient, and by no means are these the only minerals: fluoride, calcium, and iron. We know that there's several, and if you've had health class or science, you know there's lots of different minerals. So fluoride is needed for strong teeth. You'll notice on the chart I crossed out foods because most of the time fluoride would be found in fluoridated water, your toothpaste, your mouthwash. It's not really in a food. Calcium, which is needed for strong bones and teeth. Again, lots of your dairy products would have be high in calcium. Iron carries oxygen in the blood. If you don't get iron, you get a deficiency called anemia, or somebody might say I'm anemic, which means they're probably feeling tired, weak, lethargic. You know, they have a very low energy to do things. Good sources of iron would be probably your red meats. Liver is a really good source. Dark green leafy vegetables would be good sources of iron. Fats, insulator and energizer. And as you watched, if you had a chance, most of you have done the My Plate. There's good fats and bad fats. The solid fats aren't always the best for us, which would be like your butter. Olive oil would be better. They also when they talked about fats, all those bad things that we like to eat, like Ritz crackers, for example, some of bakery items, those would all be bad fats for us. Protein helps build, I could have put build and repair strong muscles. That was also a part of your plate. Usually when we think of protein, we think of meats. It could be beans, peas, peanut butter, tofu, that also would have high amounts of protein. The next next